David and Goliath, the 1980 U.S. hockey team, the 1993 movie Rudy, even Tom Brady, who was a backup quarterback for the New England Patriots in the 2001 Super Bowl. Everyone loves to root for the underdog, right? An underdog is someone who has nothing to lose and everything to gain. With the odds against him, the underdog overcomes the unthinkable. Like David versus Goliath, an underdog's mindset can help each of us confront even gigantic obstacles. It requires enormous faith through faith in ourselves, faith in others, and most importantly, faith in our Maker. Like Matthew 19:26 teaches us, with God, all things are possible. Good morning. It's an honor to share my story with you today. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Joey Bierman. I am 24 years old from Battle Creek, Nebraska, and as the youngest of 4 kids, embracing the role of the underdog was nothing new to me. At a very young age, I learned that I had to be scrappy, determined, and most importantly, I learned to be quick so I'd get to the dinner table before my siblings devoured my mom's delicious cooking. Looking back, I'm very grateful for my small town roots. I grew up loving sports, having fond memories of playing baseball in the summer months and flag football in the fall. By the time I got to high school, I was a 3-sport athlete competing in football, basketball, and track. After graduating from Battle Creek High School, I accepted a scholarship and continued to play football at Wayne State, where I'm currently finishing up my bachelor's degree in business marketing and am aspiring to be the next great salesman. My life was right on track and everything was falling into place until about a year ago, when in just a blink of an eye, on the night of June 24th, my life changed forever. While on vacation in Okoboji with some of my closest high school friends, one of my buddies challenged me to a friendly wrestling match. And you know, boys will be boys, so I couldn't possibly back down from a challenge. The next thing you know, we're in the grass, grappling, and I'm determined to win. I picked him up for a body slam and throw him over my right hip, and to brace the fall, he grabbed my neck as he was falling down. I fall down with him, and boom. That's when I felt a lightning strike go through my body. As I was laying there on top of him, he rolled me over and was trying to finish our little duel with a pin. But that's when I yelled out, "Stop, I'm concussed, I'm concussed." Little did I know the situation was far more serious than a concussion. I immediately lost feeling throughout my body. I tried to get up, but my body would not cooperate. So I lifted up my hands and asked if my buddies would help me up. They too had no idea what was happening and was joking around like, "Joey, can you get up yourself?" Sensing something wasn't right, my brother came to my side and squeezed my thighs and asked if I could feel it. We both were in shock when I said no. So there came the dilemma. What do we do now? One of my friends was like, "Let's just pick him up, put him in the car, and drive him to the hospital." That's when my other friend cried out, "Wait, I watch Grey's Anatomy. Anyone with a head or neck injury, you don't touch them." Thank God for Grey's Anatomy, I guess. My buddies then called 911 while I lay helplessly in the cold grass in shock and denial of what was really happening. After what seemed like an eternity, I heard sirens getting closer, lights flashing. The ambulance showed up. I got put onto a stretcher, my neck stabilized, but there was no time to waste, as I was quickly rushed to the hospital in Spirit Lake. By the time I arrived, my temperature was down to 93 degrees, my heart was barely beating. I was running off of pure adrenaline. I was sedated and life-flighted to Avera Hospital in Sioux Falls. After arriving, further tests concluded that I cracked my C4, my C5, and I burst fractured my C6, this causing a lot of bruising to the spinal cord and substantial bleeding and swelling around the area. To add insult to injury, I had a collapsed left lung, which hours later would result in pneumonia. Looking back on it, those first 2 weeks after the injury were the hardest physically and emotionally. Everything was happening so fast. One minute I was having fun in the sun on a boat in Boji, feeling on top of the world. The next I was in ICU, on life support, motionless, without sensation below my chest. I wanted nothing more than to wake up from this nightmare, but this was no joke, and it was only the beginning. After about a month of being in ICU, I was stable enough to begin rehab. So on July 11th, I was transferred to a Madonna Rehab Hospital in Lincoln. A few weeks into my stay, I got what they call an ASIA test. And on the ASIA scale, which describes a person's functional impairment as a result of a spinal cord injury, I was classified as an A or a complete. That meant that I had no motor or sensory beneath my point of injury. After hearing that for the first time, I was kind of down because I figured, there's nothing to improve on. Just because of my level of injury signified that I was basically the worst of the worst. But I didn't really listen to it because ASIA A, blah, blah, blah. It's just a letter, but I did listen to the singer Rihanna. So I'm just gonna work. So a total of 4 months had gone by. My case manager was excited to tell me that my discharge was only 1 week away. She goes, "Aren't you thrilled to finally be going home?" And I replied, "No, I'm not excited. I'm taking 60 pills a day. I can't even dress myself. I'm completely dependent on other people. If I was to go home to my parents' house, it wasn't accessible enough to get into." And that was just the basics. I wasn't ready to go home yet because I wasn't done. I wasn't about to give up on myself and accept this as the new normal. Not yet. So I insisted on getting more rehab with the ultimate goal of becoming independent in mind. That's when she mentioned QLI. In October, my family and I came to Omaha and took a tour of the facility. I was really impressed, especially the fact that it didn't have a hospital feel to it. I had to go there. Shortly after, I left Madonna for post-hospital at QLI. A few weeks into my stay at QLI, I got another ASIA test. Good news is that I was getting more feeling back on my left side. I could move my left leg a little, and I could even move my right big toe. Yes, I can. My results considerably changed. I went from a complete injury to an incomplete injury. Fast forward 4 months, I finally felt comfortable enough to be ready to go home for good. I told myself, I can either go down this dark road of despair and rely on others for everything, or I could take the necessary steps to try to become as independent as possible. I chose not to be a victim of my circumstances. I chose to continue to fight. I may be an underdog, but I'm definitely not a quitter. I chose to put my family, my friends, and even my schooling to the side a little so I could focus on my entire being and mindset and taking control and doing all that I could do to improve my situation. It's easy to turn inward and even have your own personal pity party, but I chose to look at the bigger picture, and I'm happy I chose to better myself post-hospital rehab. I chose to thrive instead of exist and just survive. I have to be honest with you though. It's hard to overlook frustration from time to time and confront reality. There are many times I think, well, I can't do this and I can't do that, and I keep concentrating on the things I wish I could do. And I occasionally succumb to that sort of thinking, and I forget about the things I do have. And just wishing that things were different certainly doesn't help. And my journey helped me realize a few key principles in life, and these core values help this underdog get up every single day. First of all, I learned the importance of patience. And let me tell you, sometimes it isn't easy. Sometimes I get caught up worrying too much about the future. Like, will I still get to enjoy a great career? Or am I going to be a good provider for my future children or wife? There are many times I want it right now. But I have to remind myself that patience is the key. We all go through storms in life, and we never know how long the storm is going to last. It always ends. No matter how cliche that really does sound, I'm living it day by day. And the sun really does come up the next day, and the next, and the next. And for that reason, I keep fighting. This underdog isn't ready to throw in the towel. In fact, when I'm armed with patience, I know that I never will. With patience comes hope, and with hope comes another one of my core values, relentlessness. Some people say relentlessness like it's a bad thing. Yes, my whole life changed in an instant, and in today's society, most people overestimate what they can do in a year, and they underestimate what they can do in 2 or 3 decades. It's important to stick to the process and remember, we all get what we tolerate. It's about taking pride as an individual and giving it everything you got. You have to get to the point where you're willing to impose your will on certain things. This past year has taught me so much about myself. It's almost funny to think that I was really that tough during my football days. Little did I know how much or how strong I really was, and little did I know how hard I was capable of working towards something. Finally, more than anything else, the core value that matters the most to me is gratitude. It's easy to feel sorry for myself, but instead, I embrace thankfulness. You see, my life took a change for the worse last year. It's easy to ask, why does this have to happen to me? But why not me? God has given me the perfect opportunity to use my experience and to be a blessing to somebody else, and for others to believe in me and invest in me, even when at times I didn't believe in myself. There's a certain point in life where it can no longer be just about you. And that's the moment when we gain a new appreciation for why we wake up every morning and embrace life as a blessing. I'm so incredibly thankful for what this has taught me, and I'm grateful for the myriad of ways my life has interacted with others. I am indeed blessed. I was just 23 years old when this happened. I had so many questions, like, what am I going to do? How am I going to do it? How am I going to get through this? But then I realized I'm a survivor. I'm a fighter. And we all know that underdogs never give up. It was a process for me to accept the reality that I could no longer use my legs or hands the same way I used them my whole life. It was tough going through the stage where I had to completely rely on other people. I would have never imagined I'd be sitting in a hospital learning how to feed myself all over again. I had to find tactics for some of the simplest activities, such as opening bottles, texting and typing like us millennials do, brushing my teeth, putting on socks, and tying my shoes. That's a humbling experience. But here I am, a stronger and more resilient version of myself. And ironically, I'm a better person because of what happened to me. I feel that the things in life, or things that happen to us in life, are not designed to stop us or hurt us, but rather they're designed to reposition us so that we can come into contact with what God truly has planned for us. Overall, I guess the main message for each of you today, it shouldn't take something catastrophic to realize the power from within. We are all capable of more, so much more. That's why I encourage each one of you to use that power daily, to embrace the mindset of the underdog and discover what you are truly capable of. You see, my fingers and legs might be paralyzed, but my mind isn't, my heart isn't, and my attitude certainly isn't. That accident while wrestling in the grass does not define me. No situation does. Instead, I'll work daily to define myself by the choices and decisions that I make. I will use my hands and legs every single day in my life through the way I live my life. Thank you.
Tell us about Wes.
Wes, I was in 7th grade. I think I had baseball practice that day, and I guess let me kind of rewind a little bit. We had this dog named Otis, who was a rat terrier, just the craziest little fella. I think he didn't have, he might have lost a chromosome or something, I'm not sure. But yeah, he lasted about 6 months, and we ended up getting rid of it to a farmhouse, and I figured that was the end of my dog days. But I asked for another dog. I think I was 13 years old, so I go to baseball practice, and I come back, and there's this cute black lab, and I was just so happy. And yeah, 10 years later, he's 10 years old and kind of my sidekick. So, yep, black lab named Wes. Yes.
What do you think is missing to provide human services that people kind of
I think, well, just beyond Omaha and Lincoln, I think one of the biggest gaps is the FDA in terms of insurance, being able to regulate, because there's all these new findings of, because I know there's things such as like stem cells and all this new research coming out, but it's very dangerous, and all these clinical trials that need to be tested on animals and all that stuff like that. It's hard to get through and have the FDA kind of just take a step back and really try these new sort of research findings that they've had. But I think in terms of in the Omaha and Lincoln area, there's a Madonna in Lincoln, there's a Madonna that just opened up in Omaha that should be opening within the next year. And QLI, I love QLI, but one of the hard things is that our location is in such a unique area. It's in the north side of town on 70th and Sorensen area. So it's kind of just got its own little valley. You can hardly see it. It's right by Emmanuel, but I think it's just, another thing is no one's gonna look for it unless they need it. I think that's one of the biggest obstacles too. But I think being in the Midwest, if you do have an injury, it's awesome that you can do all your rehabs and all these things so close to home, and that was really valuable for me personally. Yeah.
How about the dynamics in your family, with your brothers and sisters, since your injury? Are you still pick on you, or are you still?
You know, I wish they'd pick on me more like they used to, because I feel like, I mean, I'm still the same person, but no, I think after this injury, like our whole family was very, very close, but I think it's kind of like a bond that'll never be broken ever since the injury. I guess I'm gonna get a little bit personal here. In ICU, that was probably the toughest part. I think all the transformations, like I didn't even realize that my hands instantly were curled up when I asked my buddies to help me up, and I had a collapsed lung, I couldn't breathe, I had all these tubes in my mouth, and I've never seen my old man get emotional before, and he was by my bedside. He's usually one of the strongest people I know, and he kind of was tearing up, and I don't know if he could understand me at all, but I told him, you know, I had all these tubes in my mouth, so I bet he couldn't really understand me. I was just like, stay strong, stay strong. So I think it's just one of those situations where it's not really about what happens to you, it's kind of how you react from it. Yes?
When something like this happens, how does it transition after the initial accident? Was there guilt on his part, the guy your buddy you were wrestling with, or are you still friends today?
Yeah, I've never really asked him, but I could only imagine how you could feel guilty in a situation like that. But to be honest, like I've done and we've all done sillier things and turned out just fine. I think it's kind of interesting that us humans, we think we're so invincible, but at the end of the day, we are so fragile. But yeah, I think when I was at Madonna, Larry the Cable Guy actually came and toured, because he is a big donor for the Peas department. And so yeah, here's a quick little story. He came in, and I figured he would get this all the time, but I was just like, Prilosec TC for frequent heartburn. And he liked that, I guess. But So he gave me a signature, gave me a hat, and he kind of asked what happened, and I told him, and he was like, you know, I want to sign another hat, and I really want you to give this to your friend, because you can only imagine how my buddy felt, and there's no guilt or no hatred towards him. I mean, it could happen to anybody in terms of, you could walk down the street and there's a fellow that I know that I've talked to, he was just walking and get his mail, and he dropped his mail, and he bent over to grab his mail and slipped and fell and broke his neck. So just count your blessings, and I just want you to use that power from within every day like I expressed. We'll go you over here first.
Can you tell the crowd a little bit about the story you told me about getting gas, and when something like that happens, like if you could proceed it one way or another, having to ask for help?
Yeah, so you guys might be wondering how do I get around? I have, I guess when I was at Madonna, I was doing my driving evaluation, and her name was Linda, and she was saying, you know, since you're a quad, your hands aren't going to be the best, and you want to preserve your shoulders, because your shoulders are basically your new legs. And she was like, I really advise you to get a minivan. I was like, look at me. I mean, like, if I'm paying for something out of my own pocket, I sure as heck am not getting a minivan. So I looked into seeing how I could get a pickup. And what my pickup does is the driver's side door and the back left door are welded together, and they literally just like butterfly up. There's a lift that goes out and down, and then I have a pin on the bottom of my wheelchair where I back into it and I just drive from my wheelchair. And so you kind of think when that door opens up for me to get out to say get gas, I'm going to hit that gas filler upper deal, and we don't want that to happen. So for example, the other day, I rolled down my window and there's a help button on the gas stall. So I'm pushing that button and 2 or 3 minutes go by and I'm just like, do they just not want to help or what? But I figured maybe the button's not working. So I look up the store's phone number and I call them and I just, you know, tell them my situation and, you know, do you guys mind helping me get some gas? And no, they're just like, no problem. Now we know your vehicle. Just give us a couple honks and we'll come out sure as thing next time. So I don't normally like to ask for help because I feel like I'm very capable of doing it. But those things like that, it's nice. It's nice living in the Midwest because I feel like we're so good at, it's just in our blood to just want to reach out and help. And I think after this injury, you know, obviously a lot of doors do close, but other doors open. I just really hope that some of those doors are automatic. Yeah. Yeah. I honestly wish I knew a lot more about it, but yeah, there's been stem cells for years, and a lot of people that I've talked to, they kind of want me to get it, but it's a lot of money out of your own pocket, and there's no guarantees. And then there's other things that are coming out here this year that it's like a stimulation implant that goes below the level of injury, and it's supposed to reconnect those pathways again. There's other various things that I've been doing research on that talk about how oxygen, it's hard to get oxygen from below the point of injury. So there's a lot of things out there. It's just other countries such as Panama they're really big on stem cells. It's just hard to get the FDA to kind of, you know, because if something bad would happen, that comes back on them, and they really want to protect themselves more than anything else before they start allowing all these things to happen. But I think within the next 10 years, if not shorter, we'll be really surprised to see what all comes out there. I think someone over here had a question.
So often people are uncomfortable with things that they don't understand or aren't familiar with. Sometimes they stare, sometimes they just look away. Do you have any advice for people?
I stare right back at him. I think it's very common. I think a lot of, it's just the society today, we're all judgmental, and whether we kind of think we are or not. But it's something that you kind of just got to embrace. And I think some of the advice that I would give people is kind of, just because something happens to you and you're a very outgoing person, doesn't mean you have to just become from really popular, or not popular, but really outgoing and, you know, enjoying life, to something happens to you and you don't want to get out of the house or do anything like that. I think you still should have purpose in life and still should enjoy, you know, a beautiful day like this Friday. So I just advise people to, you know, you're still a human at the same time, and just take every day for what it's worth, because we all don't get as many days as we really would like. Come on, we're getting warmed up, guys.
What's the most annoying question people ask you?
That my mom asked me, or I guess the most annoying question that people ask, probably, do you need help? I guess. I think I embrace this new life. I mean, not everything is a struggle, but I embrace the struggle, I guess you could say, and it's just part of who I am now. So something like a door might be really hard to open, especially some of these hotel doors are heavy, I tell you what. But I guess probably, do you need help? But I would probably be the same way if someone was struggling and I was very capable and willing to help. I'd probably say the same thing, but I usually don't get very annoyed, so.
Joey,
Yeah.
talk about embracing the struggle. Was that there before the accident, or is that something that you've cultivated since then?
No, I think I've always kind of had that. Like something doesn't go my way, or something doesn't go as planned. I feel like I'm really good at changing path on my toes. But I think I owe a lot of credit to just my upbringing and my grandparents and my parents, and kind of just learning from all my brother and sister's mistakes, I'd say. Well, we'll get the mic off and then I can talk to you.
And your sense of humor. Has that always been there?
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's always been there, but I like to, I'm very down to earth. I just like to keep it mellow and keep it not as serious as what people like to be. Sometimes, I don't know, I'm trying to get a job here soon, so I don't know if I should say this, but sometimes being immature is fun. Yeah.
Have you considered doing public speaking when you make your
I think it would be very interesting. To be honest with you, this is the very first speech I have given since I was a senior in high school, which was like 6 years ago. So, yeah. I mean, I feel like there's, I feel like I said, it's not really what happens to you, it's how you react from it, and I feel like it could be a new calling. It's something that I would love to do, and I've been reading a lot of books on, Tony Robbins is one of my favorite authors, and just inspirational pieces, so I wouldn't shy away from it by any means. Let's keep asking questions and you guys don't have to go to work.
What do you like to do for fun? Try to learn.
I enjoy, I'm very, very, very competitive. So like I said, back into the patience piece that was a real challenge for me personally, because I've always wanted things like, I guess I had a little philosophy, like if you want to get things done, then just do it yourself. but I had to change my attitude and change my ways a little bit. But my brother Nick lives in Denver, Colorado area, so I really like going hiking and just being outdoors, kind of just seeing the landscape out there. And then over my time off in February after I was discharged from QLI, I did some sit skiing at Winter Park in Colorado, so that was really cool. I enjoy fishing, shooting guns, target shooting and whatnot, hanging out with my dog, like I said. We're in the small town I lived in. It just goes to show you how small town it is. I graduated with 39 people. In our backyard we have a creek where it's kind of a safe haven for my dog and I, and go fishing and whatnot. So being outdoors or being competitive, playing ping pong, pool, any sort of thing where I can just like talk trash. It's fun.
So Joey, at the Chamber, we have a big focus on talent recruitment and retainment. That's my friend speaker. So when are you finished with college, and where do you plan to stay, hopefully, when you graduate, and where do you want to work?
That's a great question. I think before this injury, I guess I was undeclared for 2 years, and I didn't want to take or major in something because I didn't want to waste money on something that I might or might not do. So it's pretty much undeclared for 2 years, and then my financial advisor pulled me, or not financial advisor, my academic advisor pulled me into his room and was like, Joey, it's time to come up with something. So I was like, well, I like one of my high school track coaches was just like, you love to negotiate, because we do these things called 150 sprints, and they would be timed. He'd say, you know, we're going to do 10 of them at this time. And I was like, how about we just do like 8 of them at a faster time? So I really love negotiating, kind of just like that person-to-person interaction. So I thought marketing would be something that would suit me, because I like sales and I love Shark Tank. So I feel like I could just be the next entrepreneur or something. So that's what I went into, and then I had the philosophy, I guess, of be passionate about a product that you can sell to a broad audience. But after this injury, I think it would be less on the products and more on the services. And since I am a spinal cord injury survivor, I don't like to say survivor, I like to say thriver. But I think working in the healthcare department would be awesome. I am doing an internship with QLI, and I honestly love every second of it. So I would be flabbergasted and thrilled if hopefully I could get a full-time job there after I graduate. But if not, I'm definitely open to anything and everything. I feel like it's just a passion of mine to just do anything that I set my mind to. So with that being said, I think the door is wide open. But I do graduate in May, so just with that being said, you know how to find me, I guess. I don't know.
Thank you very much, Joey.
My pleasure.